Now at 6, we have an update on the search for a missing East Texas woman, Raya Hicks. Investigators say they found the car they believe belonged to that woman. The details ahead.
And guess what? The heat is going to be back on for the Arklatex. I'm detailing a scorching weekend at 6.
And we're about halfway through hurricane season, and the American Red Cross needs volunteers to step up to make a difference. We'll tell you how you can help in just a second.
Plus, we now know why the Waskom superintendent closed all of its schools for the week. We'll tell you details behind the COVID outbreak and when Waskom schools will reopen.
Now, it's time to get up to the minute with KSLA News 12.
Let's get you up to the minute on this Friday at a 6 o'clock Rise and Shine, everyone. I'm Dominique Ben.
I'm Adria Owens. Let's go straight to our top story this morning. Search teams found the missing car they believe belongs to a missing Marshall woman, Raya Hicks. That's according to the Marshall News Messenger. The car was reported found submerged in Shadowwood Lake.
According to the News Messenger, Longview Fire Department divers located the car approximately 40 feet from the road. Hicks's mother reported her missing to Marshall Police Tuesday morning. This is still a developing story, and as we learn more from Marshall Police today, we will have updates on air and on our KSLA News 12 app. Bond is now set at $50,000 for a man involved in a two-county chase. Adria is following the very latest developments on the high-speed chase. Good morning, Adria.
Oh, good morning, Dom. That chase involved a big rig truck. It started right here near Dangerfield. Let's take a closer look and show you exactly where this happened. So it started near Dangerfield after deputies in Morris County received a call from a concerned driver. So then the driver then raced down to Highway 49 here through lots of small towns before it finally ended way over here near Linden. That's whenever state police set up a roadblock in Linden to stop the driver. So let's take a look at your screen here. Investigators say the driver, Chancellor Gunther of Gilmer, gave himself up. A female passenger was not hurt. Deputies described that chase and did not know exactly what they were dealing with.
We didn't know what we had. We just got a report of a man walking around with a big gun, and we knew he was involved in a verbal disturbance.
He attempted to hit my vehicle, but he got around me and he pointed a weapon at me and he fled. That's when the chase began.
Gunther remains in the Morris County Jail charged with assault on a public servant and evading arrest. His bond is currently set at $50,000.
A follow-up this morning, a second person is in jail for the murder of a Carthage man. 57-year-old Lonnie Charles Williams is the second person to be charged for the murder of Jadarian Hill. Now, Hill was found just after midnight on Saturday, unresponsive with gunshot wounds at the corner of Tatum and Eubank Street in Carthage. The first arrest came on Monday when police jailed 28-year-old Arrington Mumphrey, also charged with murder.
Well, new this morning, we are learning more about the closure of an East Texas school district due to COVID-19. Waskom ISD said it decided to close all of its schools for this week after a growing number of cases in its high school. The district announced all students will remain out of school until Tuesday. The superintendent said he initially shut down the elementary school earlier this week after 50 to 60% of the elementary school staff called out due to COVID. The district could not find enough substitutes. When COVID started to impact the high school, the entire district closed.
If we cannot staff our campuses, then we would have to restart, another date. As far as our students, we try to use about a 10% threshold when we start looking at positive cases as to whether or not we need to push that date back.
Waskom is the second East Texas school district to shut down. Bloomberg ISD in Cass County also closed this week due to multiple staff members testing positive.
Texas school districts must now notify teachers, staff, and students' families of positive COVID-19 cases in classrooms or extracurricular or after-school programs. Now, the Texas Education Agency made that announcement on Thursday.
I wanted to applaud the school boards and the leadership for the work they've done.
That was Governor Asa Hutchinson, as you just heard him say that he is pleased with how schools are handling this new school year. This despite a drastic increase in new cases across the state. The Arkansas Department of Health recorded 566 new COVID-19 cases for children ages 10 and under. But state leaders still believe Arkansas is on the right track, mainly because of vaccinations and mask mandates.
Well, let's take a look outside this morning from our DOTD traffic camera. This is I-20 at Pines Road. You can see fog. There's quite a bit of it out there. So be careful on the roadways before you make your morning commute. Definitely going to need to add a couple more minutes, Andrew, to the commute today.
Yeah, that's right, Dominique and Adrian. You know, fog is one aspect of your morning forecast, and then the rising heat that's on the way once we get to sunrise here between 6:30 and 7 o'clock this morning. Feels like temperatures this afternoon, we're getting back up towards dangerous territory with the heat across the Arklatex. So you just want to keep that in mind if you're going to be spending prolonged periods of time outside. John Harvey Toyota Skycam. Again, a little bit of patchy fog here in around Shreveport, Bossier. Not a big deal. The worst of the fog, and I'll show you coming up with your First Alert 7-day forecast, is currently across the southern tier of the viewing area down in Natchitoches, where visibilities are only a quarter of a mile, and that can definitely hinder your travel on into the office this morning. 77 right now in Shreveport, 77 Texarkana, 75 in Marshall, 75 in Natchitoches. Coming up in a few minutes with your full First Alert 7-day forecast, talking more about the patchy fog, how much we're going to be heating up this afternoon, and if there's any rain chances on the horizon.
All right, thanks so much. As predicted, the 2021 hurricane season is active. When disaster strikes, the American Red Cross responds, and they need your help.
So KSLA News 12's Christian Picos is live from the Red Cross in Shreveport this morning with how you can lend a helping hand. Christian, good morning to you.
Dominique and Adrian, good morning to you. Well, as Louisiana knows all too well, when hurricanes strike our state, they have a tendency to leave behind a trail of destruction. Just look back to last year. Powerful, devastating Category 4 Hurricane Laura, forever changing the landscape of southwest Louisiana, destroying businesses, people's homes, their livelihoods. And now that we're in the middle of hurricane season, the American Red Cross needs people just like you to step up and lend a hand when disaster strikes. For the Red Cross, it's not a matter of if, it's really a matter of when. So these volunteers would work in disaster shelters, helping with things like reception, guest registration, food distribution, and travel logistics. The Red Cross is also looking for medical professionals, doctors, nurses, EMTs, paramedics, those sorts of people who can help screen people medically if they need that sort of care. Of course, the coronavirus pandemic is changing the way the Red Cross prepares to respond to these sorts of situations. Take a look.
It's not a new thing for us to be preparing and helping communities in responding to and recovering from disasters, but COVID certainly has added a level of complication. We're having to ensure in shelters that we have added cleaning practices, that folks have adequate space to be able to social distance, that we have enough volunteers in our local environments so that we're not having to bring as many folks in from other states.
Now, if you want to learn more information or if you do want to register to become a volunteer for the American Red Cross, you can find this story right now on your KSLA News 12 app. Adrian, Dominique, back to you.
Well, new at 6, across Louisiana, Auctioner says it's canceled more than 1,100 surgeries just this week. As COVID-19 patients fill hospitals, doctors say hundreds of non-COVID patients who need other care, they're suffering, and that includes transplants, for example. Auctioner says it's had to put off some living donor transplants until there's more beds available and resources to care for them.
Let's take a kidney patient who's waiting for a transplant. That patient now has to continue on dialysis for a while, and dialysis has some inherent medical complications associated with it.
Auctioner health leaders say they're redeployed 800 team members to care for COVID patients right now.
And we can expect to hear new numbers today. The Louisiana Department of Health usually releases those numbers around noon. Shortly after we get those numbers, you can expect to hear from Governor John Bel Edwards. It starts at 1:30 this afternoon. His news conference, of course, we will send out an alert when it starts.
There's been a lot of disagreement among parents and lawmakers on school policies during the pandemic, but they all agree on one thing: to do what they believe is best for our kids.
Well, experts say the number of kids with anxiety and depression has doubled during the pandemic. Some factors include isolation, shifting learning spaces, and fewer social interactions. That's why Bossier Schools added 2 social and emotional learning programs to their curriculum: Ingenuity for grades 6 through 12 and Second Steps for pre-K through 5th grades.
Mental health is something that we need to be focused on for our students. And so even after this pandemic, the social emotional learning initiative will continue. We know it's important because if kids aren't functioning at their best, they're not learning.
Again, the program is Edgenuity for grades 6 through 12 and Second Steps for pre-K through 5th grades. There's not always a specific solution, we know that, but experts say acknowledging children's needs is a start. If parents have concerns about their child's mental health, they're encouraged to reach out to their child's school counselor.
On our web poll, we are asking you, are your kids struggling with mental health during the pandemic? Take a look at some of the results here. 58% of you say no, but that's pretty close. 41% say yes. You can go to our homepage to vote. Go to KSLA.com. Look in the middle of the page there.
Coming up after the break, finally don't have to worry about those rain chances, but you got to worry about some intense heat. I'll show you how to beat the heat coming up next.
Also, North Carolina, they're under a state of emergency following devastating damage from Tropical Depression Fred. Hear rescue efforts and how many people are still missing this morning. 6:11 on your Friday. Happy Friday. Back in a moment.